Welcome to Built on Faith Homestead, or Leaving Egypt, depending on which video platform you're watching this on. My name is Justin. I live with my wife Melissa, and we have 3 kids. We live in a tiny house, and we just do the best we can to serve the Lord and live a self-sustainable life. And we have a lot of work to do in both of those avenues, there is no doubt. Today though, I want to talk about yet another reason why you really need to consider either trying to raise up your own meat, learning how to hunt. Deer shoulder we are cooking up for some friends of ours that are coming over later for eating and a visit. Learning how to fish, figuring out a way to work something out with somebody that raises their own meat, maybe supporting, I don't know, your local butcher shop maybe, or something like that, and try to buy some locally grown meat, something like that. Today's video is going to be about a good reason why we need to do something about the meat we are consuming.
Oh, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see.
I know I'm probably way behind the curveball on this one. Most of you have probably already heard of this, but maybe you are like me and you're not very smart and you haven't heard of this. But I come across it today and I want to talk about it. Are you familiar with meat glue, right? MTG. They use it in things like making chicken nuggets and hot dogs and those kinds of things to bind the meat together. And most of you are probably like, listen, I already know I need to avoid that kind of stuff. But did you know they also can use it on things like steak? They can take cheaper cuts of meat. They can take little bits of meat, glue it all together, and then sell it and market it as one solid piece of steak. It is a terrifying thing to think about, quite honestly and quite truthfully. And so maybe you're like me and your gut reaction is like, meat glue, the fact that they can hide it in the food and not really have to tell you, the fact that they can take a steak and glue it together, and you would think you could tell the difference, but you really can't. But the fact that they can do that without saying anything, and meat glue, like, knee-jerk reaction is, this is all bad, right? This is terrible. And so I got to looking into it just a little bit, and I will show you what I have found on it. Here in this first article down at the bottom, you can read what meat glue actually is. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it because there is no way. And please notice at the top of the article, this is not just talking about chicken nuggets and hot dogs, but this could also be done to your favorite steak. Here in this article, they talk about some of the other stuff that can be glued together and why they do it, like helping texture and those kinds of things. It can also be in cheeses and desserts, breads, those kinds of things. And they say that it is killed during the cooking process. However, if you are like me and you like your steak still mooing, I kind of doubt it's killed off. Here we have the trusty FDA stating that it is non-toxic and safe because most of it is cooked out. Once again, if this is done to a steak and you're eating it medium rare or rare, is it still cooked out? If you keep scrolling on this WebMD article, what you find is, while they say the FDA claims that it's safe, they also recognize that it may cause a flare-up of celiac disease or trigger the symptoms. Here in this article, we read that the MTG actually binds to gluten and once again may activate celiac disease, may cause more autoimmune issues as well, or at least the symptoms associated with it. Here we have some of the foods listed: chicken nuggets, hot dogs, shrimp, and other meat noodles, meatloaf, sausage, any meat product that say formed or reformed on the label. But remember, they can do this to steaks as well. It sure seems to me like it's a wise thing to do. If you can grow your own meat some way, somehow, raise up your own animals, learn to hunt, learn to fish, those kinds of things. Or if you can support somebody that does and maybe support them however, trading, financially, something, so that they can then give you some good, high quality, whole meat back. I know that our food industry is broken, and I know there's no way around all of it. I understand that. I'll give you an example. we are trying all that we can to get away from things like plastic cups, right? Now, I know that pretty well anywhere you go, water got there by plastic, and I understand that. But if I can limit as much as possible, right? If we can just use like a glass cup or something like that. A lot of times we just use canning jars, truthfully. If I can use something like that to limit my plastic intake, or if I can, you know, maybe I can't avoid these MTGs completely, but if I can just do a little bit, I think really what it comes down to is, like, given the option, would you want to consume a whole bunch of poison or just a little bit of poison, right? I know, like I said, our food industry's broke. I get it. I have always said, since we started this journey, since me and my wife started this journey, I have always told her I would like to be the self-sustainable homesteading type family that is able to grow and harvest and produce and all of that, somewhere around 90-ish% of their food at least, and occasionally go out to the Chinese super buffet, right? Because just quite frankly and honestly, I think the food tastes good, and I get it. But man, it is increasingly scary to really stop and look at our food industry. It really is. And listen, I get it. I've made these videos before, and I am a large man, right? And I've had people say, you know, well, how you can't say nothing about it because look how big you are and all that kind of stuff. Listen, I get it. I'm big. I like to eat. It's just the truth of the matter. Although not as big as I used to be. I am working on that. Slow but sure, baby steps, trying to make real life changes and not just a, you know, diet change, but a real life change in the way that I operate in this life. All that being said, all of that being said, that's kind of like saying, if you're not a politician, you can't analyze the job they're doing. You don't necessarily have to be a politician to look at a politician's job and go, you know what, I don't think you're doing your job right. I don't have to be a builder and roll up at a house that fell down and go, you know, I think maybe you messed up there. I think maybe that didn't go as planned, right? I want you to understand, as much as you can do on your own, man, be a good thing. As much as you can do to go and buy food from local people, real food, real stuff, whole food. I never thought I'd be talking about like whole meat, right? Like when you're eating that steak, right? That like it's that meat muscle group and not a whole bunch of stuff glued together from 100 different cows, right? Just do what you can. And I get, this isn't to scare anybody, right? I get it. It's everywhere, and there's no way around all of it, and I understand that. Yes, we need to pray over our food, and yes, we need to ask the Lord to bless it, to take care of it, for it not to poison us, right? But at the same time, I do think we need to be aware of these things and just do the best we can, here, there, and everywhere, right? The best you can. Baby steps if it has to be. I know that's what we've had to do. To just do the best you can to get away from some of that stuff. Support your local farmers, support local butchers that are unwilling to use this kind of stuff. Try to learn to hunt, try to learn to fish, try to figure out what animals you can raise up to help your meat supply. Do what you can. And remember, once again, all the preparedness in the world, all the good healthy meat in the world won't do you a lick of good when you stand before God. So I hope and I pray that you know God, that He knows you, that you've been saved, that you have turned to Jesus for salvation, because you're not good enough to do it on your own. You can't be sinless enough to do it on your own. Appreciate you guys. We'll catch you on the next video.